some trick to tell me I'm insane. I jumped off my roof because I thought that I could fly. I spent 3 days in the hospital alone because I had to try. I still don't know why I'm running around chasing this dragonfly. I still don't know how I woke up this morning with only one eyebrow. I think that my mind's a little defective, caught up in the everyday traffic of different perspectives. Well, I need someone to call my own, someone to help me get out of this twilight zone. I think it could be you. The look in your eyes is telling me it could be true. But if you want me to be your Romeo, well, I can't do that, but I can always be your very own superhero. You be my Lois Lane, but I'll be your Superman. We'll run away, I've got a plan. Yeah. 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 Hi, Witsters.
Hey, Scott.
Oh, hello.
Oh, did Alex
Alex
go down?
go?
What happened to Alex?
Alex.
We're good.
Someone please turn Alex to an upright walk position. There we go.
Oh.
What'd you do?
I fell out of my chair. Come on.
This is the way to start a show. Let me tell you. Well, actually, it would make sense considering what we went through to try to get this show started.
Yes.
But hey,
No, we started this an hour and 15 minutes ago, and this is now 45 minutes ago.
45 minutes ago.
We started
finally
45
starting to
minutes ago.
record.
We just started recording.
We probably
Better late than
started
never.
recording earlier. It would have been more funny. That's because it was pretty hysterical trying to
You
get.
used up all the funny. Bye, everybody.
It's the shortest show ever. Well, you know, they say third
We're
time.
not IT people.
They do say third time's the charm, you know.
Mm. This is our third time.
This is
Oh.
our very third show.
I
Yeah.
do like threesomes. Oh, you mean
Hey, all right. Very charming. Very charming.
Yeah. So everybody, we haven't even done our disclaimer yet, and already Billy's offending people.
Yeah.
But no, well, no, he's not offending people because anybody who knows Bill, it's par for the
There's
course.
been a threesome with him.
look to your left, look to your right?
Hey. So anyway, welcome to WITticisms. Here's yet another one of our silly podcasts and video, whatever this is, presented by Tampa's most outrageous improv company, WIT Improv. My name is Scott Swenson, and I'm going to kind of act as your host for this particular show. And before we go any further, we need to introduce everybody around. So let's start. I'm just going to randomly throw out names. Alex, say hi.
Hi. I hurt my elbow.
That happened when you fell out of the chair?
That is correct.
Did you fall on the dog?
No, I kicked the dog out. I tried to get back into the scene quick, and it didn't work out for me.
It's always hard to get back up after you fall like that.
Yeah.
This
I can't wait to watch it back.
This is
But hi, everybody.
I've done that in sound booths. I have fallen.
Could you just imagine trying to explain it's a podcast injury?
You just work,
Also,
working
part of our crazy little team is the incredible Jill Witecki, sitting in the lovely whose living room is that, Jill?
This is the Golden Girls' living room. A friend of mine sent this to me minutes before we started recording, and considering I'm fast approaching being an old white lady, I figured it was appropriate.
There you go.
Mm.
That works for me. That works.
Definitely a Blanche.
Thank you. I want to be a rose. I want to be a rose so bad.
You wanna be there are times, Jill. There are times, not many, but there are times. And we, as before we started recording, actually, Eric was just walking around his house, and he's finally settled. So there's also Mr. Eric Hughes.
Hello, and welcome to my breezeway / tiki room.
That's nice.
Breezeway is not a euphemism for anything, is it?
No, it's just a room that has windows on both sides, which is giving me this great light right now.
And perfect. You do look good. It's good light for you.
He's sitting at the hot tub now, too.
I'm sitting in the hot tub with my
In the
shirt
hot
on.
tub? We wondered what that bubbling noise was. I thought maybe you were just farting or something. And right now, in the center of my screen, and hopefully if people are watching the video that I'm recording, in the center of theirs as well, Mr. Seth Keith.
Yay!
Yes.
Sort of the Alice. I don't know. And of course, the other wacky man who we all know and love, Mr. Billy Martinez.
Hey.
Hey!
Hey.
Hey!
Hey.
Vinny looks so eager for you to introduce him. He's just sitting down there like, come on, do me next, do me next.
There's a joke there. Anyway, so now it's time to do Vinny. Vinny Natali.
Yay!
Hey! You hear it?
Survive the fiesta.
Hi.
So Vinny, do you want to tell them that you're the reason it took us so long to get started? Is that?
I'm absolutely the reason. I've been getting a little better with technology. I've always been a Mac guy, and I have recently, about 6 months ago, switched over to PC, and I was really proficient on Mac. PC, I haven't had any troubles with these meetings until today, and when I had to get in there and figure out what was going on, it took a long time, and the help of everyone here. With sign language, and there's no audio, and writing notes and holding them up to the camera. We're there now, though. We're ready to go.
The scariest thing, actually, Vinny, is the fact that who was the one who actually talked to you about technology?
It was actually, now this is the weirdest thing. It was Billy. Billy. And we made it there, and we still made it.
Billy got out his flip phone and called you to walk you through the technology problem.
With a flip phone.
Save the day, everyone. Save the day.
Save the day with that old thing.
You meant the phone? Oh.
Oh, yeah, the phone, yeah.
Yeah. That's it. Right now, again, we're already a few minutes into the show, but we should give our disclaimer. And in true tradition, we are going to give a good, a bad, and then the worst possible disclaimer ever. So, Alex, why don't you give our listeners and our watchers a good disclaimer about this particular show?
This episode of WITticisms is brought to you by Free Thinking. Please know that everybody's opinions are their own, and that we're not here to offend, but merely to give you enjoyment and entertainment for your day. So please do not be offended, and if you are, we apologize in advance and hope you'll return next time, where maybe we can get it right for you.
Wow, that was a very good disclaimer.
Thank you.
I like that.
I'd just like to say I media trained that guy.
Yeah, you did.
For you. Good for you. I have stories, but I won't tell them here. So
You might as well.
Yeah.
You're not going to tell them here, really. Where are you going to tell
I would
them?
actually have to use the name of a very specific event, followed by the word bitches. So anyway, so now to give us a bad disclaimer. Let's turn to Vinny, the master of bad disclaimers.
Well, guys, watching our show, you have to do at your own risk, because each of us have our things that when we get zinged, we are now uncensored and saying whatever we want. And as I always like to say, if you don't want to watch the show, well, welcome. Just shut us off. That's it. It's a little mean, but that's how I.
Just because it was mean.
It was just mean.
It's a mean disclaimer.
Yeah.
It was.
Good, mean, worse.
And now the master of worst, Mr. Billy Martinez.
We're all gonna fucking die!
Not so much a disclaimer, really.
Morbid yet true.
So for those of you just listening, you've got to find the video on YouTube now just to see the look on Billy's face when he did that.
I'm gonna make that into a meme for sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Oh, Lord. Lord have mercy.
I'm sorry, Seth. Did I blow the speaker
Not
out?
offensive.
No, everything was fine.
Wonderful. I was worried about it. I'm thinking, should I do this? I don't know. Well, thumbs up for. Thank you.
Yeah, that worked. That worked. So what have you all been up to since our last show? I know we recorded not too long ago, but what have you all been doing? Anybody been
Playing
doing
video games.
Not the Rona. The White Claw went down the wrong pipe.
Yeah, watch that White Claw. It's rough.
Woo!
We went for a
I-
Walking Dead supply run today
Oh.
to get
Did
some.
you wear your mask, your cloth mask, like you were supposed to?
Maybe, no.
No.
Which is just as useful, but no. There's hamburger meat now. You can buy hamburger meat. Before you couldn't buy hamburger meat. Now there's plenty.
It's not that. You can buy hamburger.
The soylent
People, it's people.
Because, you know, last show we talked about how you should be able to use a pair of women's underwear for
Oh!
screen. Hold on, let me turn off my my Golden Girls background there.
your
'cause
virtual background so we can actually
you
see what
can't-
you're doing?
Can't
Yeah.
see it.
There we go.
Okay, there's a granny panties joke coming up soon, right? Is
Well,
that-
see, that's the problem. Is I've been trying to figure out how in the world anything like this is going to protect you from anything and be able to see while you're doing it, and that's the conclusion I came to.
Look at
That
me, look
keeps
at me.
people away from you.
Yeah,
I wear too much underwear for
this is fucking hot.
That's actually why the Golden Girls
Please,
background
someone take a
is
screenshot.
so appropriate, because
This will be the officially most watched section of any of our podcasts.
Holy moly!
you got
Oh,
nothing.
secret right
I'm
there.
making a meme. Maybe I'm seeing. Oh, there you go.
Who says sex doesn't sell?
Jill, your Bane cosplay needs some work, but good start.
Actually, my husband's not home right now, but if he walked in the front door right now, he would question why he married me.
Hey, hold on. Let's be honest. If your husband walked in the door right now, he'd probably be like, makes sense.
No, actually, his first question would be, "Who are you talking to?" I'd say the WIT boys, and he'd be like,
Okay.
"Right."
Or you might be like,
Oh,
hold
look.
on a sec, I'll join you.
Billy's
Actually,
modeling
Billy,
his
you look more
underwear
like
as well.
Bane now.
There you go.
Oh,
Wow. Now look,
see,
that was-
no.
Of,
I got enough trouble with covering my face, having to pick that out of my butt the whole time I'm trying to shop for Walmart meat.
of course you know, Batman.
You look like some weird kind of duck, Billy.
Look, Bill.
Duck Billy.
Look, Bill.
Why do I sound like Sean Connery?
Apparently you always do when you're talking through Bonnie's panties. I don't know.
These aren't Bonnie's. These are mine. No, they're Bonnie's.
Those are
No,
his
I know.
emergency
I was trying to let you save face, Bill. I knew they were yours.
No, actually, guys, I'll tell you what I've been up to. I lost it a little bit last night. For those of you who know me personally, you know that I've got 2 little girls. They're 4 and 1 right now, and they are the sunshine of my world in manageable doses. Our everyday life means that I see them in the morning before I drop them off at preschool, and then I see them in the evening when I pick them up, and we have a couple of great hours together, and then they go to bed, and I get to be a grown-up for a little while. But these days they are home all the time. I get a few hours of respite because I'm lucky enough to have my sister live right next door, and so we're kind of our safer at home is 2 houses and 2 yards big, which is great. That's where they are right now, which is why I can sit here with underwear on my head with you guys. But the thing I really miss, they are here all the time, and it's not giving me a chance to miss them. Like, if you've ever heard that phrase, "How can I miss you if you won't go away?" They won't go away, and so they're just hanging all the time. And last night I had a moment where I just needed to be by myself, and I realized that that's what I really miss so much about my normal everyday routine, are those little moments with them that we're really connecting, rather than me wanting to claw my eyes out. And the moment that I'm really missing, like I haven't driven my car in about a week, but when I drive my car and when I've got my girls in the car with me, we tell stories. Like that's my 4-year-old. That's all she ever wants is, Mommy, tell me the story of. Mommy, tell me the story of. And she'll come up with the most random things because the kid's got a mind like a steel trap. And she wants to hear the story of like some random thing that happened 2 years ago. And so I just get to tell her these stories and make up stories while we're driving. And I miss that. And it doesn't have the same effect when we're all sitting in the living room together for the 28th day in a row. Because we're not doing anything. There's nothing to tell stories about. So I miss stories, damn it.
Well, you know.
Thank you for letting me vent.
that was very good. That's very good. You know, actually, it's funny, Jill, because you know we're here to support one another. Why don't we have a little story time here? You know, for years
we tell stories.
For years we've played games. You know, for years we played this very specific game called A Very Touching Story, and I think now would be a time. You know, I think we're all behind you, because every stop it, Bill, because. Just because she had underwear on her face does not mean you can say that. So the Alex keeps getting this stupid little smile like he's got a stiffy every time you do that, Jill. And just
you know, he's sitting there going, I have those same ones.
Although his has little cookie monsters on them.
Nom 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 nom. So
great minds.
C is for cookie.
Okay. So anyway, why don't we just let's appease Jill and we'll try to tell a little story. We'll do one of our very touching stories. Now, since we don't have an audience, normally we would get a suggestion from our audience. Since we don't have an audience, you know, Jill, you said that your kids are always asking about, tell us the time, tell us the story. Do you have any that they've thrown out on a regular basis, and we can certainly ruin that for you forever by putting our own twist on it?
Yeah, don't repeat this.
Oh man, you don't have to ruin it. I will just quote my 4-year-old directly. Tell me about the time Sabrina died. And I'm not going to tell you who Sabrina is. Just tell me about the time Sabrina died.
Tell me about the time Sabrina died. Well, Alex, just to get your mind back in the game, why don't you start off our very touching story?
Hope she's not a relative.
This is a story about my friend Sabrina. It was a great, great friend that I miss dearly. But the way she passed was special. And it left a lasting memory for all of us for years to come. And Sabrina, when we think of you, this is what we always remember.
My stomach hurts! Sabrina had severe indigestion most of her life. She would eat various things to try and help her indigestion, but they just made it worse. Cheese, milk, dairy products didn't help. Vegetables, hard to digest. It was really tough for her. Quite often, I hear her screams coming from the bathroom whenever she went to use it. I actually had to go in and help one time, and it wasn't very very pleasing. That day, I knew that if she didn't seek some help for this specific type of stomach issue, that she was going to have to be hospitalized. So we decided to take a trip to a far-off place to find some help.
That help came in the form of a guru named Swami Tim Jones. He knew all about healing digestive problems, the only medicine being the will of one's own spirit. He took Sabrina under his wing and he taught her how to live right by giving up such things as food, water, and decreasing the amount of breaths she took every day. And the hopes was that by cleansing her body of all these toxins and oxygen, she would begin to feel better and see life in a new way. And she made it quite a while like that. A surprising amount of time, considering she was down to maybe, I would say, 10 breaths a day. But alas, the benefits, they weren't permanent. So we left that mountaintop retreat and our Swami and continued on to find perhaps other remedies.
Coming down the mountaintop, we knew exactly where to go. If Swami Tim Jones was not going to be the guru we needed to find a different type of help. You know, we looked in books, we took online classes, but nothing ever got us any closer to the peace we were looking for. So we decided to take Swami Tim Jones's advice. And because it hadn't worked, our last effort to try to fix this was to try the exact opposite of the advice that he had given me. More breaths per day, more breaths per hour, more breaths per hour, more food, and more water. Oh, the water. The amount of water that we drank was nothing compared to the amounts of food and different types of food, different kinds of food. We thought maybe the more gastro that the food made her, once she would get it all out, be cured of all the problems. That led to other problems. You see, when she stopped breathing down to 10 breaths a day, she wasn't getting enough oxygen to the brain to keep it working correctly. She had developed severe psychosis. And that psychosis is really eventually what led to her demise.
Did I mention Sabrina was a cat? She was a cat that had been part of our family for a long time. And everything that's been said here today was true. She would eat just about anything to try to fix what was going on in her intestinal tract. One time she even ate a sewing needle. That's another one of my daughter's favorite stories, the time Sabrina ate the sewing needle. And of course she did it at 11 o'clock at night on a Sunday, which means that we had to go to the emergency vet, which means that we couldn't afford to buy groceries for a while, which means that she didn't get as much to eat after that as she was used to. All the water she could drink. And boy, did she let us know that she wasn't happy about that. We heard those screams coming from the bathroom when she needed help. And by bathroom, I mean every corner of our house. She was a bitch, actually, come to think of it. So cute. Little black kitten with green eyes that would just worm her way into your heart and your bed and your clothes and your hamper. Pee wherever she happened to be. All that water, you know. And towards the end of her life, she did stop eating. She did stop drinking as much. She was 16 years old, which is pretty good for a cat. That Swami tried his best, but on that last day, when she took that last breath, we knew she'd lived a good life. But then my 4-year-old wanted to know, why did we put Sabrina in a hole in the backyard?
Hello, my name is Swami Tim. I remember a long, long time ago when this crazy bitch came to me with a cat. I don't understand why. It was a difficult journey. But she brought this cat to me in hopes that I could heal the little shit. I figured this poor woman was crazy, and this cat was not worth keeping around. So I suggested to only have the cat breathe 10 times a day, and then eat everything they could possibly find, including a sewing needle. So eventually I understand the cat died, and the little girl wanted to know, why did we put the cat in the hole? Because it was a furry piece of shit. And that, my friends, is a very touching story about why did Sabrina die.
My heart can't shake anymore.
We just lost all Nash, by the way.
When all of this COVID stuff is over and I am back in the car with my daughter and she asks for the story of Sabrina dying, that's the version I'm telling.
Just play her the podcast.
Listen to
Hush
this.
now, we're going to listen to Mommy's friends on the radio.
Mommy, tell me the story about when he put panties on your head.
I can show you, dear girl. You know, that's going to be the problem, is someday she's going to be a teenager, and these are still going to be on the internet.
Oh, yeah, they will.
Swami Tim.
She should know by now that Mommy has very little shame.
Well, and you know, for those of you who have not met Jill's beautiful children, they are just as strong-willed as Mommy. So, you know, if your parents have ever said, I hope you have a child just like you.
And mine did a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Your mom's wishes came true, didn't they? Yeah, not once, but twice. Oh, good Lord. Okay, so are we all back from Swami Tim now? I'm sorry.
Oh, my God, Swami Tim.
Back. Oh, my.
Swami
Still
Tim.
crying tears of joy.
Yeah, it's not often we can get Seth to tear up. That was it's clearly a very touching story.
Very touching.
Holy
Sure.
shit.
So
Here's Swami. That's the way they talk. Hey, you know.
well, that's the way that particular Swami talked.
Yeah.
Other Swamis don't sound like that at all.
Hey, oh, I'm a Swami. Forget
Oh,
about it.
yeah.
Hey,
I
why
got
don't
you.
you cooperate? That I mean.
My name is Swami Adolf, and I will talk like this because I am a Swami from Germany.
Okay. Oh, there goes Heimberg.
Well, let's see. We lost England last episode, and now we've lost Germany.
Yeah.
And we were very popular in Germany, I heard.
Oh,
Yes.
We did have
Hassan Hasselhoff.
We were the Uber comedians.
We
Very,
What
very
else?
interesting.
They would only listen to us when they were driving from one place to another.
Yes.
Do you guys smell smoke?
Alex, you do realize we're doing this virtually? So
Don't smoke.
It's the new social distancing there.
Alex, if you start tasting pennies, call somebody.
Okay.
we knew falling out of the chair had an effect on young Alex. I'm not sure what it was. Oh, Lord. Okay, I'm sorry. We've lost complete control. I tell you what, let's take some time to talk about some truths and some lies.
Nice.
There's a lot of lies on TV these days.
A lot of lies on TV. A lot of lies on TV. And I'll tell you what, this is a game that we actually played in our very first episode, and it was met with, you know, like all 6 of our listeners really liked it. So,
Poor guys.
we're gonna yeah, the ones who were watching didn't like it at all, but just the listeners, they loved it. So this is a
You
game
have a face for radio.
called Interrogation, and for this particular episode, Billy, Jill, and Vinny, who hosted it last time, actually gets a chance to play, are going to play this game. And what's going to happen is each one of them is has sent me privately a truth, an unusual truth about themselves, and I have made up some unusual lies about them. And they are going to either say A or B, and I will send them either a truth or a lie via chat, and they will read it out loud. And we will then interrogate them for 60 seconds so that we can try to figure out whether they are telling the truth or lying. Make sense?
Makes sense.
Yes.
Great. Now, I will say that this is a particularly challenging game for this group because we've known each other for a very long time. So our truths and our lies are so intermingled right now. But so anyway, let's start with Vinny. Vinny, are you going to select A or B?
I'll take B, Scott.
B. All right. I am going to be sending this momentarily. Just talk amongst yourselves there.
Well aware what the chat function is now.
There you go.
Actually, that's the funny part. We all get really quiet and listen for the chatting.
All right, Vinny, I've sent it. I've sent it via chat. Do you have it?
I do.
Okay.
Yes.
And I want you to go ahead and read this statement, and then the rest of you can interrogate him for 60 seconds. Go ahead, Vinny.
I once had a brief walk-on The Big Bang Theory.
Start your questioning now.
What year was it?
Oh gosh, it was more than a decade ago.
Okay.
It was more than a decade ago. I don't know what year. So 2008, maybe somewhere in there.
What was your
What was
line?
your character?
No character, no line. I literally just walked on.
What was the scene that you walked into? Was it the apartment? What was the scene you walked in on?
We're very good at overstating what we've done. They were doing an outside shot while I was visiting New York, and I was in the background of the outside shot. I didn't get paid for it or fill out any paperwork, but I did see me in the episode.
Where did they film that show?
10 seconds.
It was Central Park.
Where it was in Central Park, New York.
It was in New York in Central Park, and I had never been to Central Park before. I was visiting New York.
Time's up. Time's up. So, do you guys thumbs up if you think that Vinny is telling the truth? Thumbs down if you think that he is lying. Vote now. Alex says he is lying. Jill says he is telling the truth. Billy says he is lying. Seth says he is lying. Eric says he is lying. Vinny, was that true?
No.
Hey!
None of that happened.
Yeah, I've known Vinny for a very long time as well, and I know that he is from New York, and he would have gone to Central Park before. So when he says he's never been to Central Park, I knew that was probably not.
Alex, you were very emphatic.
that was
What
a
was
big
your
deal.
what was your get? What was your
I love that show, but I know that even when they go outside for shots, it is on a sound studio.
They never shoot real outside shots.
Right.
Good.
Excellent. Excellent.
But if it were true, I'd be really jealous that you met Penny because I think she's ridiculously hot. Kaylee Cuoco.
All right. Well, let's move on. Let's move on to the girl everyone likes, Jill, who has temporarily frozen on my screen, as has everyone else. I can hear no one, and I'm talking to myself. Well, this is just painful. If you guys can hear me, here's Scott vamping. Oh, good. Okay,
There he is.
we're back. So everybody, as I said, let's go to the girl everyone likes, Jill, and she was smiling beautifully and frozen. and then I noticed everybody was frozen, and I just kept talking.
That's what happened to me earlier. Yeah. All right.
Well, that was awkward. Okay.
All right,
So,
who's next?
Jill, A or B?
Let's go with A.
A. All right. It is or will be soon, coming your way.
My little chat window open.
Excellent.
Well, hey
We
guys,
could
while
edit this in
sharing, I will
post-production, by
say
the way.
when it came in from Scott on my screen, he wrote Vinny lie, and I'm so glad because I would have had to consider whether or not that had actually happened. He labeled it as a
Did I?
That's just
Why?
it made it easier for me, Scott. Thank you.
I wanted to make it as simple as possible.
Hey,
I appreciate that.
So,
don't make me
Jill.
call you on this thing.
Jill, have you received your statement?
I have.
All right, go ahead and share your statement with the gang.
In high school, my nickname was Dorkasaurus.
True.
Start your questioning.
Did Eric just say true without any questions?
I'm
Thanks,
good. I'm
Eric.
good. Right here. Don't
Thanks.
have to say anything.
Who gave you the nickname?
It was my high school boyfriend. We're not together anymore.
Was there any specific incident that led to the nickname?
It was more of a culmination of things. See, okay, you guys did not know me in high school, and obviously now I am the glamorous wit superstar that you all know. In high school, that was not the case. I was on a roll. I was all gifted in AP classes, which is great because smart chicks are sexy. But I was also the editor of the school yearbook.
Stop talking. We gotta ask you some questions. How
Right,
was
okay, I'll stop.
Was he older or younger than you?
Did you have that nickname?
He was older. He was in college.
He was in
What
college.
was his name?
Mike.
Very
And your
good.
time is up. Was that true or was that a lie? Are we doing a show with Dorkasaurus? Okay,
I'm gonna say
Alex says
Dorkasaurus.
it is true. Billy says it is true. Seth says it is true. Eric said it is true. Vinny says a double thumbs down, or he's doing an impression of a cow. So Jill, was that true?
Hell no, it was not true.
It was Nerdosaurus.
Dorkasaurus, no. Everything I said was true. I should have been labeled a Dorkasaurus, but actually my high school nickname was Fidget because I couldn't sit still. Still can't.
Oh, interesting.
There you go. There you go. All right. Well, last but certainly not least, let's go to Mr. Billy Martinez. Billy, do you want A or B?
I was called Bitch Raptor in high school. No. I'll take B for Billy.
B for Billy. Okay. Okay, hang on. It's coming your way. In just
All right, so while he's sending that to Billy, Jill, did you have a college boyfriend named Mike?
I did. I was in high school, and he was in college at HCC, and he was an actor. And my parents were so proud.
All right. Billy, do you have your statement?
I do.
All right. Read your statement.
I was once in a King Kong movie.
Start your questioning now.
Which one?
The one in the mid 70s.
What did you do?
I was there at the bottom of the World Trade Center when King Kong had fallen off the thing. There was a crowd there. It was an extra. I was 10 or 11, and yeah.
Had you been in any movies before that?
That was my actual very first acting role.
Who was there with you?
My brother-in-law, my sister, my mother. I think. Yeah.
Were they all in the movie?
My brother-in-law was. I was actually sitting on his shoulders at one point. This is when King Kong fell off the World Trade Center and is laying on the ground. There's this big dummy there, and they had everybody back up, and it was cool. I had hair from his leg.
Was there an actual King Kong there in the street?
Yeah, it was a big, huge
Time's up.
dummy.
Time's up. So, is this the truth or is this a lie.
It's true.
Alex says this is a lie. Jill says this is a lie. Eric says this is true. Seth says this is true. Vinny says this is a lie. It's a real split group here.
Yeah.
Billy, is this true?
It is absolutely
man.
true. Jeff Bridges, Jessica Lange, and Charles Grodin. My uncle was an acting teacher. He's passed away a couple years ago, but he was a big-time acting teacher in New York. He was friends with Charles Grodin, so we knew about the shoot, and we went there, and yeah, Jessica Lange, Jeff Bridges, and it's the first thing on my resume, Screaming Boy, because I'm like, it's the 1970s.
I thought it was
this
so.
weekend, my friends.
What's that?
I thought it was so similar to your Ghostbusters story that I was like, that. No.
Yeah. Dino De Laurentiis production, yeah.
Yeah. Because did you do a Ghostbusters thing where you were just in the crowd? In New York?
Ghostbusters 2. Well, when you're living in New York and you're walking around, the stuff happens, and if you just see something going on,
Yeah, you end up on the Big Bang
But not
Theory.
the Big Bang Theory.
The Big Bang Theory, yeah.
What I went with.
Yeah, and it was this. They were filming the scene when the Statue of Liberty in Ghostbusters 2 walking down the street, and there was different people there, and I got a gig as an RPS guy. RPS, which by the way doesn't exist anymore. I don't know if anyone remembers RPS. It was like UPS, but it was RPS. Anyways, I was carrying a box, and
Got it.
it's
Yeah, sorry, I just thought it was a lie because it was those stories were so
Yeah.
similar.
No, that was when I was in my 20s and the 80s. This was in the 70s.
Yeah, you said. I remember you saying that you lived in New York, and I think you said you did some background acting up there.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Well, because it took us forever to get started, we are going to have to wrap the show a little bit short, which means that, unfortunately, Jill, normally you get to rant in one of our shows, but you have to hold your rant until the next time.
Okay. I've
sorry.
been preparing a rant for a week.
Well, now you'll have more time.
It'll be even rantier
And
next
you can
time.
get rantier next time.
Mm-hmm.
All right? But
Ranty.
we have to end with the ever-popular Irish drinking song. And I think today our Irish drinking song must be about underwear on your face.
Panties on your face. Panties on your face. No, that's not the song.
No, that's something completely different.
Hold on. Wait a minute. We did, okay, I can't remember who I'm after.
Oh, here's the order.
Thank you.
Here's the order because Billy's slow. The order is Alex, me, Jill, Billy, Eric, Vinny.
Okay.
Here we go. Oh, Heidi, 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 hi. Every now I like to
Go out to the store.
And I get some panties.
And maybe find a whore.
And then I do something strange.
I put them on my face.
That's my turn, and I wasted all the space.
Oh.
Heidi, Heidi, Heidi,
Heidi, Heidi, hi.
Heidi.
I think I like the flowers.
I have some hearts.
I really like the big ones.
Especially when they're filled with farts.
But I wear it for protection.
And I wear it to keep me safe.
And I'll wear it morning, noon, and night.
Unless it starts to chafe. Oh, Heidi, 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 Heidi.
I like the smell of underwear.
I like the feel of lace.
I like the way it feels.
As long as it doesn't leave streaks on my face.
So make sure that they're clean.
And raid your wife's drawer.
Put them on your head.
And wear them more.
And where?
And wear them more. Yay!
That was the most successful ending chord yet.
We're gonna get this eventually.
Eventually!
Thank you, Seth, for your endless patience with us and our inability to sync to music.
We're done. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye!
I'm a superhero running in the rain. Spent $500 was just some trick to tell me I'm insane. I jumped off my roof because I thought that I could fly. I spent 3 days in the hospital alone because I had to try. I still don't know why. I'm chasing this dragonfly. I still don't know how. I woke up this morning with only one eyebrow. I think that my mind's a little defective. Caught up in the everyday traffic of different perspectives. Well, I need someone to call my own. Someone to help me get out of this twilight zone. I think it could be you. The look in your eyes is telling me it could be true. But if you want me to be your Romeo, well, I can't do that, but I can always be your very own superhero. You be my Lois Lane, I'll be your Superman. We'll run away, I've got a plan. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Hey,
All right, guys, I'm gonna have to wit and run.